Support WrestleTalk!
Visit WrestleTalk.com.
Should Dolph Ziggler leave WWE? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen, welcome to WrestleRamble, and a couple of months ago, Dolph Ziggler won the United States title belt. He went to SmackDown the following night after the pay-per-view, or 2 nights after, and just left the belt in the middle of the ring and walked out. It was by far the most interesting thing Ziggler has done in a long time.
Probably since he won the World Heavyweight Championship
Yeah.
when he cashed in Money in the Bank.
And we're all genuinely intrigued. Where's this going to go? Is Ziggler going to leave for a bit? That kind of makes me excited for his return. WWE's big planned reveal was coming back at number 30 in the Royal Rumble and doing nothing much and then getting eliminated.
And then, last week on SmackDown, they just said, hey, Dolph Ziggler's having a match next week against Baron Corbin. And they just randomly announced that match, and they even said, it's the first time he's been on SmackDown in 7 weeks. As if, it's the payoff, I guess, to the angle that you did 7 weeks ago. And then last week, Shane McMahon just randomly announced on Twitter, oh, by the way, that match is now to determine a new number 1 contender of sorts. That person, the winner, will be inserted into the triple threat Fastlane match and make it a fatal 4-way.
I think half-arsed is too generous. This is like an eighth of a butt.
Yeah.
This is eighth-arsed.
So I put this up on Twitter, being why is this match happening leading into Fastlane? And a lot of people quite correctly sort of said, and as I figured, it's just more of the Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah,
if you can make number 1 contenders, I'll just add a number 1 contender randomly into this match. But that wasn't really my issue I had with it. My issue was, why these 2 guys? Why announce this on Twitter? Why is this happening? 2 guys who have zero momentum, who are just 100% flat at the moment, and one of them is now going to be in a WWE Championship match next month, apropos of nothing.
Which, I mean, that we're assuming that he's going to beat Baron Corbin. We're assuming Ziggler's going to win.
Even if Baron Corbin wins, he's still got no momentum.
Yeah. So even then, the night of the Royal Rumble, Ziggler's big return at number 30.
Big return.
He was originally planned to face Bobby Roode and answer Bobby Roode's open challenge on the pre-show.
Which is where we all sort of figured the storyline was going, right? He was just going to relinquish his United States Championship and then come back and declare himself the real United States Champion. Only that storyline appears not to be happening now, which kind of just makes Roode's title reign seem his title win seem really rubbish, and B, his reign really rubbish now. It just really devalues the belt.
Devalues the belt, definitely. There were a lot of avenues and paths and storylines they could have explored with this, and they chose none of them. And it's really quite disappointing. So you could have really built something with Ziggler, because he did have at least an intrigue of momentum. And we said here, look, whatever comes of this is going to decide Ziggler's fate. This could get hot and they could do something good with it, and it could add for a resurgence in Ziggler's career, because we know he's talented enough. We know he can speak, he can wrestle, he can sell, he's got a great look, and his legs were kind of cut out beneath him before when he was getting into the main event picture. It was like a mixture of injuries when he had that concussion and had to relinquish the belt, and WWE not fully getting behind him. So maybe this was the time to finally get behind him and have a late resurgence in his career. But they haven't done that. And we said, if they don't do this again, and he's just going to be destined to be the Finn Balor of SmackDown, just used to get over other people, we've got someone coming up from NXT, Ziggler's dependable, we're going to have them work a program with Ziggler, he can get good matches out of them, it's all professional, and then he'll ultimately lose. And Ziggler even spoke about this on the Edge and Christian podcast, saying, I get that that's my role now, but even if that's my role, you need to give me a win every now and again to make the NXT guys coming up when they beat me for that to seem important. So we both said, if this comes to nothing, it's this is on him now. It's his fault. Because he has to leave WWE, he has to do a Cody, he has to do a Drew McIntyre, he has to prove himself outside WWE, make people want to see him again, remind people how good he is. You can just see Dolph Ziggler going off and cutting these amazing promos on mobile phones or on tweets to like a Jericho. If he turned up in New Japan one day, that would completely change my opinion on Ziggler. But maybe his heart's not in it, because it seems, according to this kind of report, it was from a podcast from an indie wrestler, so he doesn't really have any kind of track record of reliability, or like non-reliability either. It's just a rumor from an unsubstantiated source that Dolph Ziggler has now signed a big money deal, and he can, he's content to just put people over, and he gets to work on outside projects like his stand-up comedy.
Oh, brilliant. I did hear, I think if I remember correctly from the report, because I thought it was Brad Shepard that had reported
Brad
this.
Shepard sort of transcribed the podcast.
Right, okay. Because I think the wording that they used was like, it was an offer he couldn't turn down, which suggests that it really is a big, big money deal. And it's surprising, really surprising, because we knew his contract was coming up. Like, that was quite widely known. He'd spoken about that quite publicly. And even when people were tweeting him about leaving, he was very open in discussing, yeah, I'm off. People said, I think someone tweeted him saying, like, when are you going to cut your hair? And he was like, when I leave.
Yeah.
So it's very odd to then kind of like just do a big U-turn on that and then just, re-sign with the company to be content with just putting people over. Or is this going to be, now that he's signed this big money deal, that WWE are investing money into him, that they're going to be like, right, finally, after 12 years, we're going to pull the trigger on you. Now's your time.
Yeah, God, he's been there so long.
Yeah. It's 2006, I think, was when he was doing the Spirit Squad stuff. And then, which means probably about 2008 was when he started doing his solo stuff.
So this is the actual quote. This is from the Locker Room podcast, which is independent wrestler Bin the Hacker Hammonds' show. He said that it was at the 11th hour that they made Dolph Ziggler another offer he can't refuse. You can't refuse. Big money, and the fact that, now that he'll stay, he's willing to put anybody over, do jobs, whatever, on TV, and then he can leave after his matches. So one of the things you have to do, apparently, backstage, is you're expected to show up very early, way before the show starts, if you're needed for interviews or segments you need to tape, whatever, go over matches and angles. And then you don't leave until right at the end, after the show. It's kind of a show of respect thing.
John Cena famously prides himself on being the first guy there and the last guy to leave. I'm not sure that's the case now, but that was always his deal back in, like, when he was trying to prove himself as one of the boys.
And Dolph can now just leave whenever he wants to.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a way to, this really was an opportunity for him to, like as you said, rebuild your career. Just look at Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes was in a position in WWE where no one gave two F's about him. Like, it was just like, hey, he's grand. He's a solid hand in the ring, but I'm just not invested in Cody Rhodes as a character. He leaves WWE, or he's released from WWE. He goes over to Ring of Honor, and all of a sudden, now he's a name that people talk about. It's like, oh, Cody Rhodes, yeah, he's great. He's this, he's that. So much so that he and the Bullet Club are launching their own events. They're running their own 10,000 seat event. Is it August? August, September?
I think it's September.
It's early September, yeah. So they're doing like this, this big show. He's completely revitalized his career, and he's now working with New Japan. That could have been Dolph. It stuns me a little bit, if this report is true, that he's just taken, I don't know, quote unquote, the easy road of just being like, hey, I'm just going to work at WWE, show up whenever I want, do some jobs, and then I'm off again. Like, maybe he has just had all of his luster beaten out of him.
The crazy thing is, those names, the Cody, the Drew McIntyre / Drew Galloway, like, I love them now. I'm still not completely sold as Cody as a big thing, but I've always liked Cody. But when they were in WWE, I was never as much of a fan of them as I was Dolph Ziggler. I've been a huge Dolph Ziggler fan for a long, long time. Especially, like, I don't think anyone saw Drew McIntyre becoming the Drew Galloway of the Indies based on what he did in WWE and 3MB and everything. So I'm really... he doesn't owe me anything. So I feel weird about saying, Dolph, you've let me down. But from that 2011 Ollie fan of Dolph Ziggler, who who wore the #heel hoodie that I had of Dolph's, or of barbershop window ripping off a Dolph slogan. I wanted to see a real non-WWE run for Dolph Ziggler. I mean, now I'm saying that out loud. He wouldn't have to be called Dolph Ziggler,
Nope.
which I think we've all kind of accepted. Dolph Ziggler, it's a name we're dealing with. But then you stop and think, that's an awful name. It's one of the worst names from that period where WWE could only come up with bad names for wrestlers.
Oh, they had some dreadful names then. Michael McGillicuddy, Lucky Cannon. Like, what does Lucky Cannon even mean?
Husky Harris.
Oh, another bad one.
Percy Watson.
Yeah, Showtime Percy
Yeah.
Watson. Yeah, very, very bad time for wrestlers' names.
So he could be, because his actual name's pretty cool, isn't it? It's Nick Nemeth.
Nick Nemeth, yeah.
That's Nick Nemesis. I don't know. That sounds better. But because he did really seem to love wrestling for a very long time, and maybe it's just been hammered out of him, like you say, and he really is more about the stand-up comedy, and he's thinking, I imagine he's mid to late 30s now.
Maybe, yeah.
So does he want to go to New Japan and work what would be a harder style, or is he just hey, I've had a very successful career, I've had all these amazing moments, I'm done with wrestling now.
Maybe he's so used to that the soft style of WWE that if he went to Japan, like, whoa, slow down. Ow.
I mean, what a brilliant first spot that would be. Like an Ishii chop. And Dolph just, oh!
God, they actually hit you here. But I suppose what we're going to find out come Tuesday, whether this report holds any water, because it depends on the outcome of this Baron Corbin Dolph Ziggler match. Because if Ziggler goes over and is inserted into this championship match, like, is that sort of a sign of faith? Is that like the WWE are actually pushing this guy, or have they signed him to this jobber deal? So I suppose we'll find out more on Tuesday. But if he is inserted into this fast lane match, I can see quite a few people kind of getting on this bandwagon. It's like, well, yeah, but he was randomly inserted into that three-way for the United States Championship title, and he won it then, and no one saw that coming. So maybe they could be running this storyline that, hey, he might just win the belt out of nowhere, come Fastlane, and then
change that WrestleMania dream match of AJ versus Nakamura that you've been building since Money in the Bank. They're going to do it.
They'll actually do that.
So just as two other little bits over the weekend, talking of New Japan and other wrestling promotions, Rey Mysterio, Booyaka, didn't turn up via pre-recorded video message in New Japan
to challenge Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yeah.
Man, what a great match that'll be as well. Like, I know that they've had one meeting in the past, I believe. I think it was on an episode of Nitro or
Starrcade 1996.
I was in Arcade. Okay, so it wasn't a WCW pay-per-view. But so yeah, I mean, this will be a very interesting match, considering what great shape that Ray was in at the Royal Rumble. And this is another sign. I was actually talking to a friend of mine he's a lapsed fan, a genuine lapsed fan. Watched it in the late 90s and early 2000s, then just stopped watching and never returned.
What was the event? Was it Invasion or was it Stone Cold's
never really
heel turn?
He just sort of just stopped watching.
Just found girls.
I think that's probably what it was. Yeah.
The Lena Dunham sitcom Girls.
Yeah, that's exactly what he found. Yeah, he was like,
a lot of wrestling fans went to that show.
He's just like, Adam Driver's so great.
Yeah.
I need to watch more of him. So he was, and we actually watched a bit of wrestling. He was like, he's seen it a couple of times when he's been around mine. He's like, I think I could easily get back into this. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I've got the network. Do you want to watch anything? He was like, yeah. You talked about NXT. Show me some NXT.
And what did you show him?
I showed him. I didn't want to show him the Almas Gargano match because I think you need a bit more context for that. So I just showed him Adam Black versus Alistair. I did it again. Alistair Black versus Adam Cole. I see why Mauro Ranallo had so much trouble during this match, because I noticed it more this second time round watching it. He butchers their names every other time he says it. It's very easy to do when you're marble mouth like I am. But he quite enjoyed that. And then we watched the Pete Dunne Tyler Bate match from Chicago last year, and he very much enjoyed those. As apropos of nothing, the point I was going to make was that he was asking about these kind of these other non-WWE companies. They said, like, New Japan's on a really big rise at the moment. They've got a lot of momentum coming out of Wrestle Kingdom 10 because they just had Chris Jericho wrestle. 12, sorry. It's because we just reviewed Wrestle Kingdom 10. Wrestle Kingdom 12 because they had Chris Jericho there. that's a name he recognised. It was like, oh, Jericho's, he's still wrestling?
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, he is.
God, we're in such a bubble. If someone asked, Jericho guy still wrestle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal over the last few months.
And so I was saying, like, and I think that's what New Japan are going to be doing now. They're going to be looking to get some of these stars, maybe try and convert some lapsed fans, maybe even just trying to, like, build some of this momentum in the West by signing these former WWE guys. They were even in talks with Goldberg at one point. Goldberg, that's a name I recognise. Is he still wrestling? Yeah, he had a run in WWE. Kind of, yeah. He wrestled for about 7 minutes, all told. So we kind of like, talk about that, and it's very interesting then that after we've had that conversation, then Reg debuts, quote unquote, for big air quotes for podcast listeners. Take a drink. Reg debuts in New Japan.
Yeah, so he's going to face Jushin Thunder Liger at the Strong Style Evolve show in Long Beach in March. Which was originally where it was rumoured Jericho was going to face Naito, but it seems that might be postponed until June. So I'm thinking that if that's the case, New Japan might be thinking, I know we've already sold out this show in March, but it's going to be broadcast live by Access TV. We kind of want a big WWE name draw. Mysterio had just done the very successful Royal Rumble return. So yeah, I think it's a very smart decision by them to continue opening up the West.
I completely agree, because I think they've got such a wave of momentum that they can ride at the moment, and this could be like a big. And Dave Meltzer was saying on Wrestling Observer Radio when Strong Style Evolved sold out in is it 20 minutes?
Very quickly.
And it would have been quicker if the website hadn't crashed. So it could have been a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
And Dave was saying I don't know why they didn't book a bigger building.
Well, it crashed at the Tokyo Dome.
5 stars at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't they book a bigger building? They must have known that they were going to sell out really quickly. And even if you weren't
they're doing it methodically.
And even if you weren't going to sell out in a matter of minutes, you'd have sold out eventually if you'd have booked a bigger building. So, but you're right. This is like some methodical thing. Next time they do it, they're going to be like, why are we going to book this arena here where we sell out in 2 minutes? Let's book a 10,000 seat arena and see how we get on.
I think this is a smart strategy.
Yeah.
You just slowly more and more dipping your toes there. And you're not exhausting demand by completely flooding the market with tickets. I think it's smart, but I can see the argument the other way. I think they're both valid approaches.
Yeah.
The Meltzer did say that he was kind of disappointed rather than having this dream match of Ray versus Liger, which I think's awesome. That's just going to be because for what they lack in athletic ability at this stage in their career, man, they're going to make up for in experience and just storytelling.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see the saged storytellers of the junior heavyweight division, Rey Mysterio and Liger. So that's going to be really cool. But he said that he would prefer Mysterio and Liger teaming up against the Young Bucks.
Oh, that's
as
cool,
a match.
yeah.
And that's also really cool. But I think you can, if Ray's going to do multiple dates, don't know if he is, that could be something you do down the line.
Yeah,
but I think
really
this is
cool.
a good match first off.
Yeah, I'm really behind this.
And elsewhere, Emma showed up at I think it was called Honor Reigns Supreme.
Honor Reigns Supreme, because it's on
Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it's on Fight TV for free. Because it was essentially a broadcast house show. So if you want to go onto Fight.tv, you can watch it for free on there. I was actually going to watch it later on today because I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah.
But she's obviously debuted under her real name. Has she just gone as Tenille?
Tenille Dashwood.
Oh, okay. So she has gone under her full name. Emma in Ring of Honor. Good for her. Really, really good for her, because she was very underutilized in WWE. And a shock release late last year when I went on my honeymoon. The first thing that happened, Emma's been released. I was like, what happened? What did she do? Apparently nothing.
She was heartbroken that you got married. Then what a blow to see you get married. Luke's off the market. Then future endeavoured on that Saturday.
What a terrible weekend. And then Leo Rush made fun of her.
So she's going to enter the Women of Honor tournament, which I think is a 16-person tournament.
It certainly is.
To decide the first ever women's ROH champion. So, she's one of the favourites, surely, to win. And I think if she does her proper Evil Emma gimmick, that could be a nice way to build the Ring of Honor women's division.
And they've got Angelina Love's in that tournament as well, haven't they? And
I didn't see Angelina Love. Is she? Madison Reigns.
Madison Reigns in it. I thought I saw that Angelina Love was in the tournament as well. I know that Deonna Purrazzo is in the list, so I think she's one of the favourites too.
We've got some Patreon questions here. If you donate $50 a month or more to Patreon, you're fast-tracked into the mailbag. So first up from Paul E. Dangerously Jarman. What's the worst botch you've ever seen in wrestling? And what's the best/most exciting spot or bump you've ever seen?
Right, so both of mine are from more or less the same period, actually, and because they're ones that just really stick in my head. I mean, obviously, we were talking about the Jodie Fleisch.
That's my one. Thanks for spoiling my
well,
one.
sorry, I mean, I can't remember if that was the one you'd gone with or not. But the one I was going to mention was King of the Ring 2001. Kurt Angle doing a belly-to-back suplex or belly-to-belly suplex overhead through what was meant to through a glass panel that was meant to shatter. Didn't quite shatter. And it didn't shatter at all. And Shane just dropped and just hit his head right on the floor. It's a nasty looking bump. Apparently,
it's like a hard floor.
Oh, well, it was, yeah. And the story is that the first thing that Shane did was start to count. Was like check if he can feel his fingers, and then start to count to see if he can remember things. Which apparently, is quite a mature thing to do. And just like, ow. Quick check and make sure I'm okay. I can count. Okay, I think I'm all right. But then my favourite thing about that then is Kurt Angle just picks him up, and Kurt Angle's just got this look in his eyes here, like, you're going through this. I've decided you're going through this.
I've heard that he asked Shane, are you okay? And Shane goes, yeah, do it again.
Oh, I'd imagine it was.
Yeah.
But the look in Kurt Angle's eyes was just like, this time, you are going through. And he just launches him so hard.
What a rivalry between Kurt and that glass pane. Because it was meant to be gimmicked, but something was wrong and they didn't gimmick the glass.
Yeah.
So it was an actual glass window that they were putting Shane through.
Kurt Angle had 3 matches that night because he was also in the King of the Ring tournament. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. But my sort of like best, most exciting spot that like always sticks in my mind is TLC 2 from WrestleMania. Jeff Hardy hanging from the title belts, just dangling above the ring. Edge on top of a ladder, just jump and spearing him. Like, you look back now and you're like, woof. I mean, I could tell why your career was quite short, Edge, after all, all told. But man, what a spot. And like, it was a spot that really sort of made both guys. And yeah, I mean, it could be on WrestleMania highlight packages for years and years and years.
So you've already given away what my worst botch is.
Only if people know what it is. You can now describe it.
So this, I think it was a 3-way with Roderick Strong and AJ Styles and Jodie Fleisch.
I love Jodie Fleisch, man.
He's a great UK independent wrestler.
So awesome.
An amazing high flyer. And it's his series with Johnny Storm, which is just incredible. And I think it's Roddy who's on the outside.
I was in my backyard. I was in Portsmouth. They used to do a lot in the FWA.
Yeah, FWA. So this is about 2011, I think. Jodie Fleisch does a shooting star press off the top rope, not the top turnbuckle, but the top rope, like a springboard thing, onto Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong moves on purpose. It didn't just
it's not a Miz.
I'm just not going. Nope, not having that one. It was planned, but then Fleisch lands on the ring steps. The entrance ramp steps, jaw first, just completely down, breaks his jaw, and it's a horrific botch.
It's so sickening.
And the reason it always comes up first in my head when someone says what's the worst botch you've ever seen is because I worked on a show that had a don't try this at home sting at the start, and what is the first clip every time? Jodie Fleisch shooting star press, and I still can't watch it.
No, I know.
I'm still behind, but I still wince.
Well, I was going to say, because I used to present that show from time to time, and I was at a friend of mine's house, the author of Bob Holly's autobiography, and he just happened to catch it, and he was like, "Oh, I've just seen that show you do," and I was like, "Oh, brilliant." He's like, "Have you seen the botch that's at the start of it?" And I was like, "Yes, and I do not like to watch it again. Do not rewind it. I don't want to watch it again."
Yeah. So that's
nasty.
The early days of British Wrestling Weekly, which of course you can enjoy via NGW on NGW's YouTube channel, or if it's just on our channel page, we feature their ast episodes every week. It's much better now that we're not hosting it. It's much better.
It's a bit more professional now.
Yeah. And so most exciting spot or bump I've ever seen, I've got to go for a Shane McMahon as well.
A Shane O'Mac's all over this segment.
Well, this was SummerSlam 2000. This was...
You can tell the period that we were super into wrestling.
Yeah. I'd never seen anything like it because I'd only seen the Mankind Hell in a Cell match in clips and after the fact by this point when I was a kid. But Shane McMahon versus Steve Blackman. Shane is a hardcore match. Shane is trying to get away from Blackman, and he starts to go up the, what would you call it?
The structure.
The superstructure of the Titantron, and he's up so high. And Jim Ross is going, oh my God, he must be 40 feet. I'm like, I don't know what 40 feet looks like, so sure. But I am pretty sure it's closer to 20. And Blackman is quite a way beneath him.
Yeah.
And has a kendo stick, and he's just clobbering Shane. And Shane can't go anywhere else. And every clobber, Shane's hands loosen a little bit more, and on one of them he falls backwards. Doesn't even look. Like he just falls backwards. And thank God he lands in the gimmicked up, I imagine it's just like all sponge and crash mats and everything in this cardboard box area. And then Steve Blackman climbs a long way down and does a relatively safe elbow drop. I was like, come on, man. Jump off the thing. But that's just incredible to me. Of course, there are more magnificent and spectacular things, but for me as a 12-year-old kid, that was incredible.
It was kind of amazing because like there was that was a period in wrestling when those sorts of spots almost became expected. And I think like a friend of mine was like, he was also into wrestling at the time. That's all he wanted to see. He wasn't bothered about matches. He just wanted to see these in crazy high spots.
Yeah.
I remember him always saying like, oh, why don't they do like ladder spots on top of the Hell in a Cell? And I'm like, yeah, there's probably a good reason why, because it's incredibly dangerous.
It's not a video game. We can do that on WrestleMania 2000. Don't expect it in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then we have Jared Conatster?
I always struggle with that one when we do the Hall of Fame ring induction.
Via Patreon as well. Has Vince McMahon completely given up on the Revival? Seems like it. They're now a step above jobbers. I can see them facing Balor Club again next week. Oh, excuse me, I was trying
you right there?
I was trying to keep down a little hiccup.
Oh, mate.
I was wrestling with that through that line. With Finn going over as well. And with Finn posting a picture of him kicking Miz in the face, that match must be coming.
Yeah, so I think that seems to be the direction is Finn v Miz. So where does that leave the Revival? Yeah, I mean,
Balor Club.
Well, yeah, maybe it is the Balor Club, but haven't we sort of already seen this? Like they've already had their 50-50 thing. Like they won at Raw 20, the Balor Club won at Raw 25, Revival won at Royal Rumble. Like where does the feud go from here?
And then Finn and Kyle Anderson beat them on Raw.
Yeah.
So you got to get it's 2-1 now.
Oh, I suppose.
Got to get it proper 50-50.
Got to get their win back, I guess. Yeah. So it's a real shame as well because I was recently thinking about, I haven't really watched it, but I was thinking about the three-way from TakeOver Orlando last year and how great they were, and how just good the Revival were. And there's a match with American Alpha at Dallas the year previous, which is just a stunning tag team match. It's so good. And it's just... It's really disappointing because I had such high hopes when they coming up to the main roster, but I feel now, I'm not sure if Vince has given up on them, but they have a stigma about them that you're injury prone. And once you have that stigma, it's very hard to get rid of it.
Yeah, so about a month after their call-up, after WrestleMania 33, Dawson got injured with broken jaw.
Yes, he broke it, yeah.
And then Dash got injured, broken jaw. And then Dawson got injured in the middle of their SummerSlam build, so either July or early August. You know, because they were meant to have that Hardy's, Galanderson, something else, four-way match. That never happened because Dawson injured his bicep. Bicep, I think. That took him out until December. I think in Vince's mind, he probably never got them in the first place. This is a Triple H pet project.
Yeah.
And like you say, Vince just thinks they're probably injury prone now, so you're at a certain level and you're never going to get pushed beyond that. But I don't think the Triple H way is working either, because the whole Raw 25 thing, I know we've talked about this, and I know that was
they got the rub.
An out of continuity show. But I think Triple H's way of getting, and he probably thinks this is the right thing to do, because by all accounts, he's a huge fan of the Revival, because he's a huge fan of that style of 80s wrestling, of just classic tag team bouts.
And he's a huge fan of tag teams. Like that's quite evident just by looking at NXT. There's more tag teams at NXT than there are on the main roster.
Yeah, but even though Triple H has the best intentions for the Revival, I don't think his methodology to get them over is helping them at all. Because that whole DX shenanigans, I have no doubt that Triple H genuinely thought this is going to get these guys over.
They got the rub.
But it hasn't. It's really harmed them. And they've just lost in the consequent following weeks.
One of the Royal Rumble.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. They beat Galanderson at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, in the pre-show?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. But then they lost, like, an actual match the week after on Raw. I haven't got high hopes. But when Triple H gets the book in 5 years' time, when the XFL is on its last legs, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get
Yeah, I think there's a few guys that are going to basically sit there being like, man, when Trips gets the keys, that'll be my time. That'll be my time. Or maybe they'll just end up like Dolph Ziggler and just always be waiting for your time 12 years down the line.
Excuse the tears in my eyes, just got emotional and drunk water down the wrong pipe. So we're going to have some quickfire. I'm going to storm through it.
Yeah.
Quickfire. From @IamCharisma. How are you guys doing?
I don't know, man. How are you doing?
I just drank some water down the wrong hole.
Yeah.
So, not very well.
I'm quite tired. I did nearly 10 hours worth of driving over the weekend. So I'm just like, well, actually, it's probably more than that. We need 12, 15. So I'm very tired at the moment.
Azzo Alonso, what should be the women's title matches for Mania?
Well, I'm guessing it's, I'd like to see it be Asuka versus Sasha Banks.
I agree.
And Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey.
Or
Charlotte versus Becky Lynch, I'd also like.
Yeah. Majanda Janda, cats or dogs?
Cats. I hate dogs.
I'm a cat person. I love cats, but I don't hate dogs.
I hate dogs.
How can you just hate dogs?
I hate dogs. They're just so needy and yappy, and at least cats can just look after themselves. They're grand.
Adam
I don't even like
Cran,
cats that much.
who needs to turn heel to save their character?
Oh,
Roman Reigns, quite obviously.
I don't even think it's Roman. I don't really have an answer for that. Maybe Finn. I think Finn will benefit more from it.
My life, I think the company would benefit better if it was Reigns, though.
Mm-hmm.
My life is in 8-bit. Disappointed or excited that Ray is going to New Japan over returning to WWE?
I can see him still possibly doing both. Because these New Japan things are like per appearance deals, so it doesn't rule out the return to WWE at all.
I've really got no interest in seeing Ray back in WWE.
Not particularly.
Like he was great as a Royal Rumble surprise entrant, but in terms of working a prolonged storyline, I like these one-off dream matches here and there. Week-to-week television, no.
That is how I would like Ray. If Ray was to return to WWE, more in that part-time schedule where you just you work at a SummerSlam and then you're not seeing for the rest of the year.
John Otto Lazar, should AJ Styles turn heel in the build-up to his showdown against Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34? No, I think that... I'm looking forward to a face versus face bout.
Yes.
You keep the heel turn in the back pocket because later on down the line, a heel AJ Styles versus face Nakamura, that allows you to tell a different kind of match.
Yeah, but you say that, but Finn's going over to SmackDown and he's going to turn heel in my fantasy booking, so
Sure.
AJ can stay face.
Bond to the future. What's your favourite bad match that was so bad it was good?
Jenna Maraska versus Sharmell, TNA Victory
Yes.
Road 2011, I think it was. Might be 2012.
We're both going ladies matches.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going Melina versus Alicia Fox.
One of the best matches ever,
Just
wasn't it?
for that priceless, tough enough reaction from Stone Cold.
And there's also, speaking of great women's matches, Cameron, the other Funkadactyl that wasn't Naomi. I think she had a match, I think it was against Naomi on Raw, when Naomi was lying on her front and Cameron tried to pin her and then shouted at the ref for not counting the pin. Like, that would just, put these people on live TV.
David Gill 001. When do you think Asuka should lose her first match? Never.
You will never?
No. She should lose just a random Raw one day.
Yeah.
To Charlotte, yeah.
I'm going to say, as a serious answer, WrestleMania against Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks cheating to win this WrestleMania, completing the Sasha Banks heel turn, and then having Asuka chasing the belt, because it gives Sasha the credence of finally defending her Raw Women's Championship and defeating Asuka and ending the streak. That could be a great heel momentum character for Sasha Banks.
I like that, but I think it's too early on the main roster for Asuka's streak to end. I would be a fan of Asuka almost living long enough to become the villain, where she becomes a heel, and maybe that's how you get a Bayley over, because Bayley finally defeats Asuka, or for some poetic justice, Ember Moon.
I was about to say Ember Moon.
Yeah,
So like
Ember
maybe
Moon finally overcomes.
WrestleMania next year, you have Ember Moon, and you can kind of tell the story. Yeah, I could go for either of those.
Narf Monster, do you think John Cena will win a 17th World Championship? Yes.
Yes.
Usman Ashafar 6358. What is your favourite WrestleMania?
WrestleMania X7.
I was gonna 30. I liked recently. Kogan eating pineapple or pizza? Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
This is very much a question for you because you are a pizza man. I quite like pineapple on pizza.
It's fine. Tom Cushney. Why did WrestleTalk turn on Tom Cushney?
I'll leave this one to you.
Because he's he's not he's just rubbish. He was stinking up that roster. A Jewel Hull 97. Who should induct Taker into the Hall of Fame?
Kane, I think would probably be the most poetic person to induct him, but
It's got to be Vince.
yeah, maybe it should be
think
Vince.
Vince.
Yeah, that's a great shout. I didn't even think of that. What a brilliant shout.
Who are you going to say before I interrupted?
The $1 Million Man. He brought him into the company.
Yeah. Lowell Harrier. Any wrestlers you guys hated, but now love/changed your mind on, or vice versa?
Any wrestlers you guys hated but now love?
John Cena.
Yeah,
would be one for me.
that's a great idea. Braun Strowman.
Oh wow, yeah.
When Braun came in, I was like, he's a lumbering goofball. He was green as goose poop, and he just he felt like he was, when they were talking about they're going to build to a Braun Strowman Undertaker match, we were like, oh dear Lord, no, that sounds like it's got horrible written all over it. He's turned that all around.
And by the following year, we loved Braun. In fact, Nia Jax, I was not a fan of in NXT, but she's really good on the main roster.
Yeah, she's been really great.
Superhero rockstar.
You got it right the first time.
Yeah, but it's actually he rockstar.
Oh yeah,
They've merged all the words.
that's clever.
Will Mike the Miz ever be in a world title picture again?
No.
Maybe as a Raw main event.
Oh well, like a B show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Not even a B show. Like if Roman's the champion, maybe Miz 1 week will get a Raw main event shot, and that'll be built as a big thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's not really a big thing though. I've seen them wrestle like 25 million times.
Robert Bartle PW. What current independent star do you think would fare best in WWE?
Keith Lee.
Keith Lee.
Always Keith Lee.
Gavin J. Griffiths.
For future reference, anytime you ask a question about independent wrestlers in WWE, the answer will always be Keith Lee.
In line with your crap gimmick roster, what's your least favourite gimmick you've ever seen in WWE or elsewhere?
Least favourite gimmick?
That's a tough one, that is, because there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I'm ragging on them a little bit because I've now named them twice in my least favourite things or so bad things. But I'm going back to TNA again, either for putting Okada in the Green Hornets, the Kato role when he was Kato. I mean, talk about bad, man. TNA again, Goldust when he was over there as Black Rain. And he was against...
I never minded Black Rain.
Oh, but he was he was so bad. And he was up against Relic, which is killer, spelled backwards. And also around that time, God, you could tell Vince Russo was booking it, when you had Sheikh Abdul Bashir, which was Daivari's gimmick, where his entrance music started with a plane crashing, or the sound of a plane crashing.
I can't pick one off the top of my head, but now you've mentioned TNA. That time when Samoa Joe had a knife.
Oh, and he had a penis drawn on his face.
Yeah,
he was kidnapped by ninjas.
That was...
And then he tried to stab Scott Steiner.
Yeah. Lead B-Man. If Triple H gets full control, do you think we'll see a return to a two-person commentary team on the main roster?
Good question. No, I think they like the three-man commentary booth. I think that's just a WWE thing.
I think they've kidded themselves into it. I don't think it'll be Triple H that changes that. I just think it'll be time, and they'll get bored. What can we do to shake things up? Two-man.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, because there's a three-man commentary team in NXT, which is a Triple H project, so I would assume he'll keep that.
Kenworth Pax. When Matt Hardy and Bray end their feud, what do you think is next for Matt?
Jeff Hardy.
I think more Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is
keep that feud going.
Never-ending year, man.
Kingslayer 123. Do you think Finn will be a world champion again?
Yes, on SmackDown.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Jones.
Certainly not on Raw.
Jones Alex 540. Why don't you watch 205 Live now that Triple H is in charge of it?
I do.
Yeah, we try to watch it when we can.
Well, I do watch it.
There we go. So that's all we've got time for. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news or WrestleRamble. Support this show on Patreon, please, so we can get better internet and give you live streams. And subscribe here. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Ollie Davis. And that was Rambling.